You're lying in bed, you're exhausted, your eyes are heavy, but your brain has decided that right now, at 2:14 a.m., is the absolute perfect time to replay a slightly awkward conversation you had in the break room 3 years ago. Or maybe it's obsessing over an email you sent 9 hours ago that hasn't gotten a reply. You're staring at the ceiling, illuminated by the glow of your smartphone, running through a dozen catastrophic what-if scenarios. We've all been there. You feel like a helpless passenger in your own head, strapped into the back seat while your brain drives you off an emotional cliff. We try to fix it by doom-scrolling TikTok, distracting ourselves with a podcast, or just tightly closing our eyes and wishing the anxiety would stop.
But what if I told you that the ultimate hack for stopping this mental spiral wasn't invented by a modern Silicon Valley neuroscientist or some productivity guru on a podcast? It was invented by a guy who lived 2,000 years ago. A guy who literally had zero control over his physical life, his location, or even his own body, but who managed to develop total, unbreakable control over his mind. Stick around because over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you an ancient trick that will permanently change how you handle stress, anxiety, and overthinking.
To understand this trick, we have to talk about the modern illusion of control. Today, we are obsessed with controlling everything. We have an app to track exactly how many steps we take, an app to track our sleep cycles, and an app to watch a little GPS dot bring us our pizza in real time. Because of all this technology, we've developed a subconscious belief that we should be able to control life. So, when life doesn't cooperate, when traffic stops, when the economy dips, when a friend ghosts us, our brains completely short-circuit.
But let me introduce you to Epictetus. He didn't have apps. He didn't even have basic human rights. Epictetus was born a slave in the Roman Empire. By definition, his life, his body, and his future belonged to someone else. History tells us his master was brutal and actually broke Epictetus' leg, leaving him permanently disabled. If anyone in the history of the world had a legitimate reason to overthink, stress, become incredibly bitter, and feel totally helpless, it was him. But instead, he became one of the most respected and greatest philosophers in history. How? How do you survive that kind of physical powerlessness without losing your mind? By mastering exactly one mental framework. The Stoics called it the dichotomy of control. It sounds like a fancy academic term, but the concept is brutally, beautifully simple. Every single thing in the universe, every event, every emotion, every interaction falls into one of two buckets. Bucket A contains the things you control. Bucket B contains the things you don't. That's it. There is no bucket C. Here is exactly why your mind spirals at 2 a.m. You are spending 90% of your mental, emotional, and physical energy trying to manipulate bucket B. You are stressing over how your boss will react to your presentation. You are worrying about whether your flight will be delayed tomorrow. You are agonizing over what that group of people thought of your outfit. Epictetus realized something profound that most of us never figure out. Our suffering isn't actually caused by the bad things happening to us. Our suffering is caused by demanding control over things we were never, ever meant to control.
So how do we actually use this when we're having a meltdown at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday or staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m.? You use the split-second filter. Here is the exact trick you can start using today. The next time you feel that familiar knot forming in your stomach, or your mind starts racing a million miles an hour, you are going to physically pause. Stop what you are doing. Take a deep breath and ask yourself one single objective question. Is this completely up to me? Let's run it through real life. Stuck in gridlock traffic and going to be late? Is the traffic up to you? No, not in your control. The current state of the economy and inflation? Not in your control. Staring at those 3 little blinking typing dots on your phone, waiting to see if someone likes you back? Not in your control.
When the answer to the filter question is no, you need a mental circuit breaker. Epictetus actually had a mantra for this. He taught his students that when faced with something outside their control, they must immediately say, "This is nothing to me." Now, let's clarify that. "This is nothing to me" doesn't mean you become a cold, heartless robot who doesn't care about life. It doesn't mean you don't prefer a good outcome. It means you fully accept that worrying about it is like yelling at the rain to stop falling. It's a complete and total waste of your limited daily energy. You're emotionally decoupling your happiness from the outcome. Once you declare "this is nothing to me," you immediately, aggressively pivot all your focus back to bucket A. You can't control the traffic, but you control what you listen to in the car. Put on a podcast that makes you better. You can't control if a company decides to hire you, but you entirely control how well you research and prepare for the interview. You can't control if someone texts you back, but you control whether you sit around staring at the screen or whether you put your phone on Do Not Disturb and go to the gym. When you forcefully redirect your brain from what it can't do to what it can do, anxiety simply evaporates. It has no oxygen left to burn.
Anxiety lives in the future. It lives in the uncontrollable. It lives in bucket B. Action lives in the present. Action lives in bucket A. This is the ultimate mental cheat code. It flips a switch in your brain that turns you from a passive victim of your circumstances into an active, dangerous player in your own life. You stop bleeding your precious energy on things that don't matter, and you become incredibly effective at the few things that do. So tonight, when you're lying in bed and your brain tries to drag you down into a spiral about your past or your future, visualize that line in the sand. Bring up the filter. Ask yourself, is this completely up to me?
If it's not, drop it. Say it out loud if you have to. This is nothing to me. If it is in your control, tell your brain you will handle it tomorrow and go to sleep. Try this split-second filter for just 3 days. Seriously, commit to 72 hours of sorting everything into those 2 buckets and watch how incredibly quiet and powerful your mind becomes. If this shift in perspective helped you, hit the like button so the algorithm can push this video to someone else who really needs to hear it today. Subscribe to the channel for more practical ways to master your mind, build resilience, and take control of your life. I'll see you in the next one.